Today is 24th of May 2013, and we are standing on top of the cliff of Ravnanuten on the island of Tysnes in western Norway. And we see the northern part of the island below us here. We're looking north. What is special in this area is a unique concentration of pre-Christian sacral place names. We see down here the headland has the name Tysnes, which is now the name of the whole island, but it comes from this headland here, which had the church place until the early 20th century. Tysnes means the headland of the god Tyr, or the headland of the gods. And here on the other side of the bay is a farm called Ve, meaning the cult site, or something like that. And here, out on the sea, is a small rocky island, just a cliff, called Helgastein, which means the holy rock. And over here to the east, there's a collection of islands called, in Old Norwegian, Godøyar, meaning the gods' islands. And further east, behind the bushes, unfortunately, is a place called Lunde, which means grove, or possibly refers to a sacred grove in pre-Christian times. And further south from there is the lake of Vevatnet, which means the sacred lake or the cult lake. And the whole island of Tysnesøya was called Njardarlog in medieval times, where Njardar is genitive of the Old Norse god Njardr. And also in other places on this island there are sacred place names, but in particular there's a concentration here in the northern part of the island. Now, there's been no explanation of this concentration of sacred place names in this area until recently. There's a man called Svein Ove Agdestein who has a summer house on this low green headland below us, and he has observed that the headland of Tysnes is marked by the sun on all 4 sun turning points of the year. It's most prominent on winter solstice, and then the sun sets behind the hill over here with the spruce forest. Then after 20 minutes it comes back in a cleft behind this closest hill, and it shines with a concentrated beam directly onto a big heap of stones, a røys in Norwegian, on the headland of Tysnes. And the beam is so concentrated that it shines only onto this heap of stones for 7 or 8 minutes, and the rest of the area is in shadow. And in principle the same thing happens again on summer solstice. We see this mountain over here. The sun sets behind the mountain and it comes back to the right of it, but only on summer solstice does it get high enough to shine onto the headland of Tysnes for a few minutes. And you can only see it from the top of the headland, not from the sea below it to the left. Of course you can see it to the right as well, but it's only on summer solstice that it gets high enough to shine on that headland. Then on the equinoxes, the same thing in principle happens again. The sun sets behind this mountain here, it comes back and shines onto the headland of Tysnes. In spring, on spring equinox, that is the first time this happens, and then of course it happens every day after that, if it's not overcast, of course, and then all summer until autumn equinox. That's the last time of the year that this happens, that the sun comes back to the right of the mountain and shines onto that headland. Now, these are many coincidences, and it's very, very unlikely that such a point in the landscape can exist, that it's marked by the sun on all 4 sun turning points of the year. So there's reason to believe that this sun phenomenon is the background of the concentration of sacred place names in the area. It seems that the headland of Tysnes, marked by the sun, is the starting point, and then the rest of the names are derived from or connected to that name. And that the sun phenomenon is the starting point seems very probable, especially when we consider the alternatives, because there are no good alternatives, no good alternative explanations, and also the fact that this heap of stones on the headland is located exactly where this concentrated beam from sunlight on winter solstice shines. And there's also a couple of other things that supports this understanding. The Helgastein cliff is distinguished in a similar way. It's special in several ways, but it's steep and high compared to its size, and it's barren, whereas the other islands in the area are covered in vegetation. But it's also the white color of the cliff, which underlines a phenomenon that is related or similar to the sun phenomenon on the headland of Tysnes, because the island of mainland Tysnesøya, is rich in mountains, so it's often overcast over the mountain because the mountains over the island because the mountains attract clouds, and in those situations there's shadow where the people live, whereas the bright rock on Helgastein is bathing in sunlight. So it's illuminated by the sun when the rest of the area is in shadow, which is similar to the phenomenon on the headland of Tysnes. And in addition, the farm V on the other side is located on the line formed by the big heap of stones on the Tysnes headland and 2 other heaps of stones on that headland, on the ridge from left to right on that headland. The line formed by the ridge and those heaps of stone point to the farm V quite exactly. So it seems to be communicating with the headland of Tysnes and placed in relation to the characteristics of the Tysnes headland.